Some parents may give their older children a car as a special gift, but others think even bigger and buy them an apartment. That's a growing trend. Parents as landlords. Joining us to discuss are Leonard Steinberg, president of Compass, a New York real estate company, along with William Stocky, a junior real estate broker, and his father, Bill Stocky, in Miami, who recently bought his son a New York City apartment. Welcome, everyone. So nice to have you here. Leonard, let me start with you. You're certainly seeing an uptick, not only in parents helping their children financially to buy an apartment, but buying one for them outright.
Absolutely. You have a $30 trillion chunk of money sitting in the hands of baby boomers today, and that funding is going to transfer to heirs over the next 20, 30 years, and real estate is definitely a primary purchase that makes a lot of sense for these parents.
So they're seeing it as an investment, do you think?
It's the smartest investment of all, because it's not only an investment in a growth vehicle, but it's also an essential need. Housing is an essential need. And if you're not spending the money on rent and you're buying something, you're creating wealth for that child as well as for the family.
No, it's a great leg up in life for sure. So William, tell us about your story. You had graduated from NYU Stern School of Business, correct? And you started your apartment search. Tell us, was that a discouraging search?
Well, actually there was a bit of a break in between graduating and finding the apartment. I was a bit skeptical if I wanted to stay in New York after graduating. But once I finally figured it out and I was like, I want to be in New York, I love this city, I looked pretty quickly and I had my idea set. And so I quickly zoomed in on what I wanted and got it.
Well, but let's back up a little bit, because it's not as if you had the funds ready there, right? I mean, you had to have a conversation with your father. Did you broach this idea? How did it come about?
Well, I think if you don't ask, you don't get anything. You can't at least get some help. So I did broach it with him. We discussed things like budget and how I would participate, and we went from there.
All right, so Bill, tell us your thoughts. I mean, were you looking to buy an apartment in New York? Was this something that had occurred to you? When William brought this up with you, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, professionally, I've been in the real estate business for 30 years, so I'm somewhat familiar with the industry. Certainly not the New York market, but when my son approached me with it, obviously there's always the pitfalls and risks of investing with a child that you read about and all the horror stories, but I had a high degree of confidence in his ability and what he was looking for. We spent a weekend looking around, becoming familiar with the different marketplaces. But basically, I really looked at this as an arm's length transaction, as an investment. If I was the partner in the transaction and William was a third party versus my son, would I be comfortable with the investment, the neighborhood, et cetera, the building?
So you personally checked it all out. You had to make sure that you personally were comfortable with this.
Absolutely.
Right. And so, William, you did put down 15% of the apartment. So you are a part owner. This is an investment for both of you down the line. Is the idea eventually you will sell it somewhere down the line? Because presumably you're not going to live there for the rest of your life. No,
not forever. But I think for me, participating in the transaction, being an equity stakeholder was very important.
Right.
So.
And now, since there is no mortgage, you have chosen not to charge any rent. Why is that?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, sorry, that's a question for you, Bill.
No worries. No, effectively, William is paying rent because he's going to pay the monthly carry costs, the real estate taxes, the utilities, the HOA bill. So there will be a monthly cost on his part.
Right. But you could, if you were the owner of this apartment in New York City real estate, you could get a very pretty penny in rent.
Absolutely. You really have to look at this. Leonard hit the nail on the head. It's an investment, a financial investment, as well as an investment in your child's future.
Right.
To help them start in New York.
Now, yes, getting started in New York is incredibly difficult. Leonard, what is the average studio or one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan going for right now?
Well, there's really no such thing as average, unfortunately, but you can get into the entry level of a studio, depending if it's a co-op or condo, around $300,000 to $400,000. A studio will be a lot more expensive, but in condominiums today, a studio is going to start around $1 million. One bedroom, $1.35, $1.4 million.
Yeah.
But I do believe that this transfer of wealth and parents helping children to buy has been highlighted at this building at 196 Orchard, where you are buying, where it is so visible to us, seeing how many kids at all ages, not just in their teens or 20s, but in their 30s as well, are getting help from their parents to buy into something that's an essential need.
Absolutely. And this arrangement takes all forms. I mean, Williams and Bill's arrangement is one way, but other parents choose to charge their children rent, or perhaps lots of the children have a mortgage and they pay the mortgage. So there's all kinds of ways of working this out.
Absolutely.
Correct?
And it's also not just for millionaires and billionaires, because let's face it, there are people who have a net worth of $300,000 who are helping a kid or a grandkid with a $50,000 or $100,000 contribution. The bottom line is I hear too many parents saying, I don't want my kids looking at me waiting for the day I die so they can get my money.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, speaking of kids, Bill, you also have a younger son coming up the pike. What are his expectations? Is he expecting you to also buy him an apartment in New York City?
Well, I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall. Absolutely. He's a couple years younger than William, so I said, call me when you're 26, and we'll address it at that point.
But you're ready for it. You would also help him out the same way.
Absolutely. That's the issue when you have multiple children. You try and treat them all equally.
Absolutely. Bill, thank you so much for that. William, thank you so much for coming. I hope you realize how great it is to have such a generous dad. I hope you say thank you to him.
Thank you.
Thank you, William. And thank you, Leonard. Great to have you all here with us today.